Hey guys, it's Darwin, here with my weekly Q&A to answer some more of your questions. If you want to leave a question for next week's Q&A, you can either leave it in the comment box below or send me a video question over to darwinonthetrail@yahoo.com, and then next week I'll answer as many as I possibly can. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this week's first question. Did you worry about getting Lyme's disease on the AT? How did you protect from ticks? So in 2015, I actually did contract Lyme's disease. Well, a form of Lyme's disease called ehrlichiosis. I was actually bit by a tick in Pennsylvania, found it on my leg, pulled it off, and then in Bear Mountain, New York, I started showing signs of flu-like symptoms, and we went to a hospital, got some blood work done, and found out that I had actually contracted ehrlichiosis. Which is kind of weird because ehrlichiosis is typically found in dogs and cats. It's the Lyme disease that cats and dogs typically get, so it's pretty rare in humans. Lucky me. There's a lot of things that you can do to protect yourself from Lyme disease, but it's still really hard. There's a lot of people who contract Lyme disease on the AT, especially in the northern states. Connecticut was actually the first state that Lyme disease was discovered, so it's really, really bad in there, especially in the summer months. But a couple things that you can always do to help protect from getting tick bites is definitely make sure that you're treating your clothes with permethrin, spraying all your gear down about once a month, wearing something like 100% DEET on your body all the time, maybe wearing a little bit longer clothes, and checking yourself every night at camp. Even though Snuggles and I did all of these things, I still contracted it. So it is still very, very easy to get a tick bite, and then you always take the chance of that tick carrying some strain of Lyme's disease. But just be vigilant, check yourself for ticks, and make sure you get it checked out when you're not feeling so well, and keep an eye on that bite. A really good tall tale sign for Lyme's disease is the bullseye rash. Unfortunately, with ehrlichiosis, you don't get that rash, but with typical Lyme's disease, you will get a bullseye rash around the bite where you were bitten by the tick. So keep an eye out for that. Hey Darwin, I'm 13 and hike a lot. What do you think a good backpack is for me? My current one is killing me. Christian, there's no wrong or right answer to that. The backpack that would be good for you is a pack that fits good. I would start with a couple of kind of the top brands. Maybe look at Osprey. Their packs are super comfortable, really easy to dial in. Maybe a Gregory pack. I've heard their packs are also very easy to fit to your body. And then maybe if you want to try an ultralight alternative to those big companies, maybe check out ULA, Z-Packs. I've been super comfortable and super happy with my new Z-Packs Arc Blast, so maybe check them out. But it all comes down to what pack is going to fit your body perfect. You know, we're all different, we're all shaped different, have different torso lengths, different hip bones, so it all comes down to a good pack that's going to fit you right. I would suggest going to your local outfitter, maybe even an REI, trying on a bunch of packs with some loaded weight in it. Typically a shop will have some weight bags that you can put in there. Just maybe walk around the shop a little bit and see if the pack is a good fit for you. Good luck in your quest for finding a great backpack.
Hey Darwin, it's Sean. Currently hiking through a cave system in Vietnam. I was thinking, what do you use for your sleepwear when you're hiking on the AT and the other trails? Do you sleep in thermals, or your hiking clothes, or nothing at all? Trying to figure out what to look forward to for the PCT. Thanks, man.
So good question, Sean. Typically, I run really, really hot at night. Even whenever it's cold outside, I typically only sleep in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. My body radiates a lot of heat, so typically just a pair of shorts and a shirt do me pretty well. I've tried to sleep a couple times naked. I know there's kind of a lot of controversy, and you can actually stay warmer if you're naked because your body is not sucking the heat out of you and kind of stealing it from you. I've never really been that comfortable with doing that. And then if it's super cold and I know it's going to be a crazy chilly night, I will sleep in my thermal tights, still in a t-shirt. And then because my feet get really cold really easy, I also have a pair of Goose Feet gear down booties that I'll typically sleep with as well, just to make sure I keep my feet warm. Pretty much as long as my feet are warm, I sleep great. Doesn't matter if it's hot, doesn't matter if it's cold. I always like to take care of my feet. But again, usually it's just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. How often did you have to replace your shoes and why did you need to replace them? Please keep up the great videos. Thanks for the great work. Thanks a lot, Robert. So typically it depends on the shoe that I'm hiking in. In both 2015 and 2016, I hiked in the Merrell Moab ventilators, and I typically got about 500 to 700 miles out of a pair. Couple tall tale signs for me when I needed to replace them was, number one, the toe would start kind of coming apart, and then obviously when the foam on the sole starts to break down, they start to become a little uncomfortable. You start kind of getting a little bit of a pain in your foot, at least I do, and about that time, that's when I know it's time to replace the shoes. Now there are a lot of really great shoe companies out there, if you're doing a thru hike, that will send you a free pair of replacement shoes if you're doing a long distance hike. So that's one of the reasons that I wear Merrell Moabs when I do a thru hike, because I know that Merrell will get my back whenever those shoes break down between 500 and 700 miles. But again, it all depends on the shoe. Right now I'm currently hiking in the Ultra Lone Peak 3.0s. Right now I have about 300 miles on those, and those are still doing really good. We'll see, time will tell on how fast they actually break down. I'm anticipating them breaking down a little bit quicker because they are a lot lighter of a shoe and don't have that much material, but we'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated. I'm currently using a Eureka Solitaire tent, but I'm thinking about upgrading to a Z-Pack Soloplex. Is this a good idea, and what is the wear resistance like? So I am actually also going to be getting a Z-Pack's Soloplex. Actually, at the end of this month, I'll be ordering up a new tent. Number one, I wasn't 100% happy with my Six Moons design tent, and two, I'm trying to shed my weight a little bit more. I personally have not had any problem with the wear resistance on Cuben fiber. All of my stuff sacks that I got from Z-Packs that I used in 2015 and in 2016 on the AT and on the Arizona Trail and on my section hike of the CDT are still holding up great. The only thing that has a hole in it and that has any wear is my food bag, and the only reason it has wear in it is because of mice and squirrels chewing a hole in my food bag and trying to steal my food. Aside from that, Cuben fiber is an insanely strong material, and it all depends on what grade you get. I know some hikers that have had the Soloplex and the Duplex for years, taking them through multiple thru hikes, and they're still holding in there. So as far as tear resistant, I would say you're pretty good on that. And I've heard nothing but great things about Z-Pack's tents. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about their tents. They're lightweight, they're super strong, they're really easy to set up, and they're super roomy for being such a lightweight tent. So I would say you're pretty good. Go ahead and order one up. I'm gonna order one up in probably the next couple weeks, and maybe we can compare notes on them. I will be doing a full review in the coming months of that tent as I spend more time with it, so maybe keep an eye out for that. Do you still do triathlons? Have you ever done any videos on triathlons? Nope, I actually stopped doing triathlons in 2014, right before I went to hike the AT. I raced for about 8 years. The last couple years was nothing but half distance iron and full distance iron. And it just kind of wore me out. Never done any videos. I have a handful of pictures. If anybody wants to check out the pictures of me racing triathlon over those 8 years, you can probably find them on my Facebook page under my photos. But no, I've kind of put that behind me. Even though I'm super competitive, I just don't have racing in me anymore. And obviously I've moved on to different things. But thanks for asking, man.
Hey man, my name's John Bell. I'm from Tennessee. I just want to get your opinion on trekking poles. Like cheap ones versus expensive ones. I know that like Leckies and Black Diamonds you can get for $120, $80. I just want to know what the benefits were of the cost versus like some cheap ones like I have right now. Other than shaving a few ounces off, and is it worth shaving a few ounces off to spend that much more money? Thanks.
Good question, John. So the big reason for me of using a brand like Lucky or Black Diamond or one of the more expensive isn't necessarily weight. Because even if you get some of those cheap trekking poles, they're still made out of aluminum. They still have cork handles like the ones that you have. So weight's not really an issue for me when it comes to trekking poles. The thing that I look for in a good trekking pole is, number one, I'm a cork grip guy. Gotta have cork. Keeps the sweat off my hands. Number 2, most of the nicer brands, especially Black Diamond and Lucky, use a flip lock, and a lot of the cheaper ones will use a barrel lock. In my experience with all the different trekking poles that I've used, barrel locks just don't hold up. They break really easy, they come apart, and they just don't last. So that's one reason that I don't buy the cheaper poles, because I haven't really found a good cheap pole that uses a flick lock. And number 2 is warranty. If you're doing something like a long distance hike, companies like Black Diamond and Lucky, Comperdale have your back if you're out on the trail and something breaks. They're either willing to repair it at a local shop, or in some cases even send you a brand new pair. So for me, when it comes to cheap gear versus more expensive gear, it's not necessarily always about weight, because you can get some pretty lightweight cheap gear. It comes down to warranty and how long they're going to last. I'm willing to pay the extra money to make sure that I don't have to buy multiple pairs throughout a hike, so it ends up paying itself off. Same with tents, sleeping bags, cook systems, all of that stuff. To me, and all of the different types of gear that I've had, it's totally worth it to pay that extra money to get that extra service. But the poles that you have right now, I'm sure are doing fine. Use them up until they break, and then maybe look at investing in some Luckies or some Black Diamonds. Right now, I'm currently using some Black Diamond Ergo carbon corks, and I love those things. Cork handles, they're ergonomical, they're made of carbon, so they're a little bit lighter, and then they have the flick lock. And then Black Diamond has a really awesome warranty on their trekking poles, so totally worth it to me. But like I said, use up the ones that you have, nothing wrong with them, and then maybe look at investing in some nicer ones. Been wanting to hike the AT for a while now, but don't think I could devote 5 to 6 months to it. What are your thoughts on doing a section hike versus a through hike? What would be the best way to do a section hike in your opinion? So regardless if you want to do a through hike or a section hike, it's awesome that you just want to get out on the trail. And really, at the end of the day, that's what's important. You don't necessarily have to do a through hike to enjoy the trail, especially the AT. There's so many great points that you can jump on and jump off of the AT because you're so close to so many towns. So section hiking would be a phenomenal thing to do and really, really easy. For me, if I was going to go out and completely section hike the AT, I would probably kind of go north, and I would start in Georgia and just kind of eat away at sections as I go. Last year in 2016, Snuggles and I met a guy named 2 Decades that has actually been section hiking the trail for almost 15 years now. And by the time he ends up getting done with the trail, he's estimating that it'll take him 2 decades to do it, and that's how he got his trail name. Now, he started in Georgia for his first section, and then every year he takes his vacation, the 2 weeks that he has of his vacation, he goes out and he hikes a 2-week section of the trail, knocking off one section at a time until he eats away at the entire trail. So that would be a really good option, and you can always flip-flop as well. So you can start in maybe Harper's Ferry, hike to Georgia, and then eventually maybe start in Harper's Ferry again and hike up to Katahdin, or the other way around. But either way, get out on the trail, enjoy the AT. It's phenomenal whether you through hike it or you section hike it. Okay guys, last question of the day. Is it typically hard to find a pharmacy in the towns along the trail? My son and I are planning a Sobo through hike in 2019. He has type 1 diabetes, and while my husband and daughter will be home to ship us supplies, I'd hate to get to town after the post office closes and be stuck without testing supplies or insulin. So I think that you'll be okay, Amanda. There are a lot of towns on the AT, and you typically will come through some sort of a town, or at least really close to a town, every 2 to 3 days. There's really only a handful of sections on the AT, like the 100-mile wilderness, where you're away from a town for a long period of time. When they originally routed the AT, they actually routed it to go through towns, so you could be in the wilderness, then you could go down the sidewalk of certain towns. Now there's not a whole lot of towns left on the AT where you actually do go down the sidewalk, maybe 5 or 6, but still every 2 to 3 days, you're usually about 2 to 6 miles away from hitching into a town or calling a shuttle service or something. And most all of those towns do have a pharmacy, at least a Walgreens or maybe a local pharmacy, so I think that you'll be okay. As far as planning for your through hike for 2019, good luck. That's really awesome that you guys are going to do that together. If you have any more questions for me regarding that, or if you need any advice on planning your through hike, hit me up and I'll be happy to help. Alright guys, so if you have any questions for next week's Q&A, you can either leave them in the comment box below or send me a video question, a video of you asking me a question over to darwinonthetrail@yahoo.com, and then next week I'll answer as many as I possibly can. Snuggles and I have been super busy lately getting out a lot of media and doing a lot more things here on YouTube, on our Instagram. We've even started to launch our Etsy store, and I'll be giving some more information coming up within the next couple of weeks for you guys to check all of that out. Plus, we have some really big news of some changes that we've made for when we take off to hit the road again in September to live in our camper full time. So stay tuned for that big news. Probably within the next week, I'll be releasing that. If you haven't got a chance yet, go over and check me out on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of new photos lately of some of the things that Snuggles and I have going on throughout the week, plus a lot of photos from my hikes from the past. So check that out. Go ahead and like or dislike this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.